a calendar and a daily schedule is just a budget for your time,
Right. Yep.
a budget for your life. You know how much money to spend. You know how much your mortgage is. You know how much you can spend on your car payment.
Yeah.
But for some reason, our daily schedules, we don't follow it like it's a budget. We should manage it like it's a budget for our time.
Yes, absolutely. And if I spend it in this way, here's what it adds up to.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Here's what's left over. Here's what it equals. Yeah, absolutely.
So, anyways, that was also probably tying it all together of what made us decision. I know we were talking about why did I come to EXP, going through one thing was when we were an independent brokerage, one of our main things was it cost me about $34,000 a month, 35 to 33-ish. I got it down to about 31, 32, just making some cuts, firing a couple of unneeded positions, or we could kind of merge some people together. But then when we got to really looking at some systems and some other things, just shifted some of our model. Like what we did is a fully leveraged company.
Right.
I don't know if you remember, we did everything from transaction coordination, listing manager. So they do listing services. We have the runner. We had, they get signs, key boxes, keys.
Yeah.
We pay for photography. We pay for virtual tour Matterport system. And we pay for a video musical walkthrough if it's over $500,000, luxury signs if it's over $500,000. And then let's see, pay for all your signs. What else do we do? Then we were doing client gifts, $50 client gift per closing for each agent. Then we were doing pop buys, and then we were doing a client event once a quarter for all of our agents.
Yeah.
And
what were we paying for leads? Were we paying for any leads in there? And like that's not even leads. And the reason is because most people are paying for leads on top of all that. So yeah, keep going. But yeah,
we had gone from KV Core to Brivity, to Boomtown to Brivity. And when I was with Boomtown, we had paid for some stuff, but it just never really materialized.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah.
3 leads in like 7 or 8 months, spending like $600-700 a month.
No, it's crazy.
But the problem that I probably had was my own ability to do all the things I'm doing and hold people accountable. I wanted to be a broker that gave people what they needed while they can still go do what they want to do. And the whole idea was I want to eliminate every excuse. I also have a podcast room with all the equipment and, literally written instructions on so they can go make content and like every excuse you have, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did all that and we found that nobody was passing out their closing gifts. A couple were, but most of them were either being used by the agent because they've been doing gift cards, or they were just kind of sitting in the back of their car. And that's the same thing with pop buys, is most of the pop buys were just kind of stacking up. We have agent boxes downstairs and we haven't done pop buys since January. And I still have agents that have pop buys in their boxes, so we're touching their clients quite like, that was led to believe. And so it's kind of like, we did all this because we feel like it's a sphere-based business. It's like, be a local expert that people know like, right. So we were building everything around sphere.
Yeah.
And so we removed the closing gifts, we removed the client events, we removed the pop buys, and that immediately took me down probably $2,000-3,000 a month right there. And then shifted my runner into a listing manager role, which I thought, can he handle it? I don't know. He's young and he's not really detail oriented. Never even brings a notepad to my meetings. And that's the number one thing I always get on to him about. And then at the same time, listings just start coming. And so what happened was he got to control all of his runner responsibilities, his what we call field ops, field ops, nice way to word it. And then he also does all the listing management input and all that sort of thing. And so we have like 93 listings right now, which is pretty crazy when I only have about 14 producing agents out of the 20 the producing full time, the other one part-time dual career. And so that worked out really well there. And then we're like, man, this NAR thing was not really like a huge decision maker for me. It was kind of like icing on the cake. If this NAR comes down to more settlements,
I'm kind of out in the wind without an umbrella.
Yeah, mom and pops are shut down. You go with $100 to $200,000 of every mom and pop. I'm not gonna be able. I'll just shut it. I'm not gonna pay that. And so I got to looking, and I've known you forever, but it actually was Matt and Phil. Phil was my business coach at the time.
Yeah,
had was talking about some stuff, and then it like kind of introduced me into, like, we went to dinner one night and they are like, hey, what do you think about this? And then that got me asking some more questions. And then it literally kind of all probably about February,
Yeah.
because my business partner was going to be having a surgery. And so she was like, man, I'm going to be out for 6-8 weeks. What does that look like? And it was like, well,
Not good.
we finally dove into the systems, and it's saving us about probably about $5,200 to $5,500 a month in systems we're paying for that we get with EXP.
Wow.
So I've gone from $35,000 about October of 2023 to May, and I'm not talking about cost of sales, because cost of the listing, all that. But I'm averaging about $17,000 a month to run my business.
Wow.
You can easily say 5,000 to 8,000 of that was trimming some fat, making some fires, changing our business model with some pop buys and stuff. But
so are you now running more like a team within a brokerage? Is it more like a team setup now, kind of within a brokerage? How do you kind of have it set up?
I think it's probably the same way we're running it, where I want it to be, where it is being ran as a team within the brokerage. But because at EXP, I'm a group. I'm not my own brokerage. So I'm Madewell Group at EXP.
Beautiful.
So yeah, it is. When I made the EXP announcement, I had realtors just leave me, just straight up leave. No calls. I had people just left me. And they talked to other agents, and the other agents said, well, they just told us, like, you don't see the writing on the wall of what's happening. They're dissolving the brokerage, or they're doing this. And we're like, where is all this coming from? We literally announced this with like, great news. This is going to save you money. This is giving you a capping model. And so that was the other thing EXP allowed me to do. And the reason we started looking, we looked at we looked at EXP. I even had a conversation with a guy at Epic. I looked at SVN, because I was trying to find like a big name backing, because I believe in the referral network of these big companies.
Right.
I probably closed 6 to 12 deals a year from referrals, just from building our name out here for years. And so I wanted that again for the agents, for them to go have the opportunity to go build the names.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a big name. I was thinking I could do it from the commercial side. So that's why I was looking at SVN. And none of it was as financially advantageous as EXP.
Yeah.
And we wanted a capping model, because I had agents asking me, how do we cap? And I was 70-30 forever. You pay us 30%.
Yes. And it's so hard to do when you're on your own. I mean, it's such an impossible model to do when you're on your own. Yeah.
So now we eliminated, $5,000 a month in expenses. Now I can actually say, sure, let's figure out a capping model.
Yeah.
And so now we do basically a $27,000 cap. It's 23 to Madewell, 4,000 to EXP, because they're on a quarter cap. And then I'm still the rainmaker. I'm still in a 16. I think even Betsy may be a 16 as well. That's my business partner.
Yeah.
But we run it that route. And
that's so beautiful.
And then there's, of course, the rev share, which was not even a decision maker for us. We just didn't really care.
What was the benefit of EXP over Real when you looked at it from your group standpoint?
This sounds terrible. There was only one guy at Real that I saw myself switching positions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guy named Joe. And that's somebody, like, everybody I take advice from, I always like to say, like, would I be in their shoes?
Would I trade places with them? Yes, exactly. Yeah.
If I'm going to listen to you, tell me what you're doing. Have you even gone through the shit I'm going through? Or would I trade places in 2 years? And he crushes it, but he puts his thumb on them accountability model. That's just, I'm just not a micromanager. I'm not that way. And so I didn't feel like that was a Real to EXP comparison. And there was a whole lot of people within EXP that were running teams that I felt like were very similar to mine, where we give the agents a lot of freedom and flexibility. I do now with EXP and with our upline coaching, I offer something every single week for training. Monday, Wednesday, Friday calls, Tuesday, Thursday classes in the office, and then a Wednesday sales meeting as well. And so it allows me to have all sorts of training that we haven't even been offering people, that allows us to spark things, which gives me as a leader more to come back to them with. And I think that's one of the main things for leaders is, you know this, you're a big learner. You've written books. The moment we stop learning, the moment we stop leading. And so I've been trying to just always consume, lead, Ed Milet, John Maxwell, what can I do? And so now these guys, I'm jumping on the calls as the rainmaker.
Right. Yes.
I'm like, they're sparking something in my head that allows me to take something back and teach with.
So good.
And so that was one thing I really liked about EXP was that they have the training that I needed to give back to other people. And maybe I'm not the best trainer and teacher for every person in my brokerage. So I wanted there to be a big database, a resource of people that people can go find somebody that's like them. And maybe that's a female that's older than me that one of my other females wants to hear from. Maybe that's a mom that they want to hear how the moms are doing it. And so I wanted it to be a big name that felt like we could have access to anybody at any time. And that's an EXP.
100%.
So it was the ability to, it was kind of all encompassing, but it was one, it's going to save me my monthly payment and help me as a business owner offer a capping model. So that was two.
Yep.
After offering a capping model, I wanted to give the agents back more training, teaching, like, how do we do that? And that is people like health, people like Matt, people like Blake Sudduth. I don't know if you know that guy. There's people that call me 4 times a day because they were trying to reach out. And I'm like, I'm working. I'll call you back later. But they're just wanting to check in. What do you know? What do you need? And I was at a big name before we went off on our own. And I did not have this kind of support at all. And so that's really, it was like financial benefit, capping model benefit, and then of course the rev share. So I got my first rev share. I'm getting it. I get my first rev share check, $500. And we felt like we had a month and we had to pay out a big chunk TXP here at the beginning before our agents are capping, but $500, just here you go. And it's kind of nice because that's like a whole nother side of a transaction, if you will. There's like one extra one. So we don't.
It's beautiful.
Since Betsy and I own it together, we're just literally we're just putting it right back into the business. And you know,
it's incredible. And like you said, it's a win for you. It's a win, and it's a win for the agents. And it allows you. And I think what the cool thing is, one of my partners says, like, it allows you to run with the runners and walk with the walkers, right? So like everything's available, but you don't feel like it doesn't turn into a hostile relationship, because if you have someone in your world that's not like totally living up to it or not doing all the like, that's okay, right? Like it's not. It allows you to serve everybody much better and for the relationship to be much more healthy, I think, the way that it's designed.
You know, one other thing,
and who else you can work with. Yeah.
One other thing that was kind of cool to me that was actually a decision maker was the health insurance.
Yeah.
It wasn't like let's go do this because I want it. Like I have it already, and other people at my company do, but a lot of people don't. A lot of realtors don't. They just fly by the seat of their pants. And I thought that was such a cool thing for them to offer health insurance.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't a huge decision maker, but it was kind of like that's pretty cool.
What was the hardest part for you? Like for most people, I find it's like the emotional journey that's the hardest for them. I don't know if that's what it's for you. So like they kind of get attached to like their name or their this, or like, was that hard for you? So
I definitely, I have my name out there still quite a bit. Right. We have Madewell Real Estate Company, Madewell Construction, Madewell Estates. I mean, we've got a lot of Madewell, so Madewell's still out there.
Madewell Tattoos. Not many people know about that one.
There's a lot of
it's an announcement.
When we made the announcement that we were like going away, and that was probably the thing that hurt the most, was that people created their own story, which will happen no matter what I'm doing. And that people didn't trust me whenever I thought I had their trust, and we talked and had conversations, and as soon as it was time to switch, they left.
Well, quite frankly, that's happening a lot. There's a lot of people right now that can't figure it out, and they are just ghosting, right? Like quite frankly, I'm seeing companies in Dallas all day long. They're like, by the way, like, peace out. Like, we don't really know how to figure this out. It's not really working. So like, you're now part of them. And they are just peace out because they can't figure out this piece of it. They can't figure out how to transition and thrive. So there is a bunch of that going on. It is. It's
and mortgage lenders are doing the same. Yeah, mortgage lenders are doing the same. Everybody's kind of jumping around doing their thing. And so I think that's one only thing that really kind of was my least favorite part, was because people are moving. I don't know if they gave me a chance to show them that this was such an optimistic, positive move. Internally, our culture, I feel, is better because we're having more conversations, because more things are being sparked because of things that EXP does. I will say, if I didn't have so our team is a yin yang. I'm like training sales people. Then I have admin. So I've had this, leverage system. And so my admin team, if I didn't have an admin team dedicated to this, it would have made this so much harder.
Oh, for sure.
It was really beneficial. We had corporate come sit in our office because she's from Fort Worth.
Yeah.
She came in
Nice.
our office and was like, let's onboard. And
Let's
so we
figure it out. Yeah. Yeah.
onboarded right there. I'm really kind of
But
fishing.
it's not all on your shoulders now. You and Betsy, like there's multiple people that are helping you do it, and the reward is greater. So it's like you were in a good. I always feel like it's not like you were in a bad vehicle. You were in a good vehicle. It's like you're in this great boat, but then a 40-foot yacht pulled up next to it. It's like, oh shoot, like that, like that's it. Like this was cool, but that's even better. Like it serves everyone. So it's not that you're like giving up or abandoning this. It's like, hey, we upgraded to this, which is a better vehicle for us all. We're going to the same place. It's just a better vehicle for us all to do that.
I also think that I'm like fishing for what was the worst part, because like nothing's felt bad.
Yeah.
I don't even think I've done a good enough job implementing into the EXP world. I'm not taking advantage of workplace. I'm not taking. I mean, there's just so much.
Yeah, there's so much.
It's nearly like, oh, it's not overwhelming, because not a whole lot of things like this overwhelming, but it's like there's a whole level of like, where do I even start? And it's just kind of like, just keep doing what you're doing, keep selling houses, go back to that business. But it's just tools on tools on tools. And but for me, the main few things was financial, capping model, and then I wanted to get back to a big network where I could get referrals from
all over the country, and the relationships all over the country.
And I'm in Lubbock. There's not a lot of all over the country, but there's a lot of DFW.
You're only 6 hours from anywhere. You're not that far away. Yeah.
But DFW, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, those are our big ones. Being a mom and pop, all my referrals were coming from other people I knew from years before. And I just felt like I was missing it. We started a property management company because we wanted to you get about 10 listings a year from a property management company alone. And then you get the buy side, and you get so it's like, we always are looking for how do we build our own internal ecosystem.
Yes.
So being a mom and pop shop, you're just capped. Just capped. And that's the sucky part. And I don't think I have I don't think I have capped potential on anything. But when your resources are only the resources of your time, your money, and your this, you're just capped unless you go give up one of those things. I mean, I'm not going and spending money on infrastructure to build out better systems for my real estate brokerage. I'm just not doing that today. I'm not taking away time from my wife versus, I'm not spending 7 to 10 p.m. doing something different, because I'm already working from 7:30 to 7 every day just because of who I am. And so it's like, why would I not just partner with somebody that's, I mean, gosh, I bet Glenn Sanford's probably put $1 billion into this at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, that guy, it's 10 years old now. That was another thing for me.
And paid a lot of prices. Like there's a lot of stuff that was figured out that you don't have to go figure out, right? Like how many things were like, there's a lot of things we figured out over the last 10 years that you and I don't have to go figure out.
Yeah. And that was the other thing too, is I didn't want a company that had just started. I wanted one that had been around, and it's a 10-year-old company now. The trajectory is huge. And I like that they're publicly traded, because one of my things I tell my agents is you need to talk to people like you're a financial planner. You need to know how to talk just like the Edward Jones guy, mutual fund guy, so that you can compare dollars to dollars. And so I like that they give me another avenue of wealth building and another stream by having the stock options. And anybody that's like, oh, stock public traded, like, quit just looking for the negative, because this is a huge positive.
It's amazing. And you realize that, and I think for our agents, like the ability to get paid multiple ways for doing what they were already doing is beautiful. And to not have to go figure all that out. So
I'm not a big recruiter. I like to have my actions speak for themselves. And so I wanted to still do sales. I wanted to also have stock options, and the rev shares cool too. But I just told you about my wedding venue, our oil change franchises, our construction arm, our property management arm. What other person is not trying to go get 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 to 10 streams? Tell me the other brokerage is giving you 2 to 3 streams for just going and selling a house. It's not happening. So
it's not.
So add all that together. That's why we were like, we need to make this move. So it kind of happened fast, because Betsy and I just looked at it and we were like, this looks awesome. And then we were like, what are we missing? And it was like, we're not. And then the first month that we got to just cancel everything that we didn't have to pay for it.
Nope. Yeah. It's kind of like right now we're moving from Kajabi to high level, and like there's so many things you don't have to pay for anymore just within the coaching side. And it's like, nope, don't do that. It's just better model. right? Just a better vehicle to get in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I think it's been a great move for us. I'm really excited. I know I will get into the recruiting arm. I also wanted to get all of our systems down. So when I do recruit, like Betsy said that today in a meeting, she said, when we go to start recruiting some people, because we want more people here, but we're not
Sure.
recruiting them to a bad system and a bad process. And we've got to, I think we're still bar none better than most people, but it's like, we're going to go get better so that we can
Yes.
go offer more. And the EXP is just going to give us another arm that we can do that on.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Pretty cool, man.
I freaking love it. What is you own multiple businesses? You've seen it all. What's your one or two keys of advice to people out there right now? Maybe they're struggling in the real estate realm. Maybe they're trying to get to this year, trying to get their head on straight. What would you say is your one or two pieces of advice? To everybody else out there that's kind of maybe a little bit of a struggle bus right now.
Every time I look back on how did I pull something off, like every time somebody's like, tell me about how this went, I look at what I pulled off and I never doubt myself. So like I've pulled off some things that when I look back at them, I'm like, that was so risky. But it's like, that was what I was doing and I went forward.
Yes.
And so that's the first thing is you have to have a level, and I'm looking for the right words here. You have to just be kind of stupid and just keep moving forward. I think my motion and business and activity towards a goal got me through a whole lot of like so let me tell you an example. I bought some land for $110,000. Now this has been 6 years ago. It was outside of Lubbock, outside of the town outside of it. So it was 50 minutes from Lubbock in the middle of nowhere. And I bought 21 acres for $110,000. So just take the number, put it to 500, if you will, in your neighborhood, whatever. I hard moneyed it, 135,000. And I knew I had to pay that person $800 a month or $900. It was $900 a month in interest only payments for 3 years. And I broke those 21 acres up into 9 lots. And then I sold them for $35,000 an acre. And I ended up making $185,000 on that. That was one. And it was just like $900 a month in interest only. And I've never developed land before. I had no idea what I was doing. I had to go meet with county. I had to go meet with the county, the city. There's ETJ, extra jurisdictional, territorial jurisdictions, all these things I'd never done before. But I just like thought this will sell. And so I just went forward with it. And then at one point I had 4 or 5 houses I was flipping at one time. And it gets to a point where you're like, this is just what we do. And so my wife and I have conversations all the time she's like, we're doing a lot. And it's like, I just think the best piece of advice I can give people is just keep going towards the plan and working the plan, even though sometimes people be like, you're crazy. You're crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
so how important for you is it to like have the plan and follow the plan? Like
I didn't realize how much of a processes and systems guy I was.
Yeah.
Because I'm a high D. And so I'm a driver, but I also am a big visualization guy. And so I can visualize things before they even come to life. I can see the house before it's even remodeled. I can see the building before it's built. I can kind of do all those things. I do work on a lot of visualization on what do I want, which goes into guided writing, which goes into, but once you kind of go through some of those steps, it's just like, I wouldn't want to say it's like, I do think I sharpen the axe quite a bit. Like I sharpen the axe, I learn, I sharpen the axe. Man, I think also we swing the axe a whole lot more than a whole lot of other people.
Well, and it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, like, hey, because I believe it, because I'm going to do the work, it's going to pan out, right? And like you're reiterating that all the time. They're like, I always figure it out. I always do the next thing. I have a step. Like you have that self-fulfilling prophecy that really becomes true.
And I'm a big law of attraction guy too. So it kind of all that ties together. But people will doubt themselves and they'll go away from the plan. And they'll listen to other people tell them it's not a good idea. When that's what I said back to, would I switch places with you as you're giving me advice? And I did, this was college for me, dude. 19, 20 years old. I walk into a economics class and the guy's telling me about his high school degree, his college degree, his master's degree. And then we go into it and he's like, no, this is how you're going to run and start and own a business. Hey, what businesses do you own? He's like, oh, no, I haven't had them, but I've got a business degree and I've got this and I've got this. And I never went back to class ever again
Yeah.
because it's like, I would not switch places from that guy with that guy.
Right. Yes.
And not to say that I just wasn't just dumb and blind and arrogant, but I just think that people will they will put a doubt in your mind because they're not doing what you're doing. And so you have to
100%.
just ignore the doubt.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just keep going forward. And also I think there's a level to working smarter. I'm big on that, but I also think people don't work hard enough. I think people are lazy. My grandmother would work circles around people till she was 76 years old, including me. And I'd be like, gosh, what are we doing? And it's like, no, we're still going. And I think that's why I come back to our calendar and like a time budget, if you will, because people say, man, what a busy day. It's like, what did you do? Oh man, well, I don't even know what I did today. It's just such a busy day,
And they almost equate that to like, I worked hard or I was successful. And it's like, it breaks your heart when you break it down and they can't, and they can't even account for it. Or there's nothing worse than watching somebody enthusiastically run in the wrong direction. And there's certain people like that don't feel successful when they're not busy, but even when they're busy, they're not actually being successful. And it kills you.
There is a little bit of the snowball effect, not like a Ramsey snowball effect, just literally time on task over time.
Yeah, 100%.
And we were talking about outliers today. Malcolm Gladwell, 5,000 or 10,000 hours. It's usually 5 years of 40 hours a week. And something happens when you hit like year 7 to 10, where it feels
it's like the hockey stick, right? Like you do it. It's like 1%, 1%. You don't see nothing, and then boom. Yeah,
that's exactly it. And I told the guys, he's started with me. He's 18 years old, graduated high school, first ever graduate of the real estate program at his high school. Really cool. Graduated. Awesome. He's like, I'm not going to college. I'm like, I love it. And he has no life experience. And so we're just talking through stuff. And I'm like, it's going to take you 2 to 5 years for you to feel like you're winning. And he's like, what? I'm like, you're going to have to do this, what I'm telling you to do, for 2 years. And he's like, 2 years? I'm like, at least, maybe 5, until you start winning and feel like you're actually doing something that's worthwhile and is like you're not losing. And I think the look on his face when he was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do this for that. But once you go through years 2 through 5 and you get to years 7 to 10, and then I guess I haven't been to years, this is year 11. It's like once you get into years, I bet 15 to 20, it's a little different too, but it's like 7 to 10, that hockey stick's just kind of like,
and the compounding really takes off. Yeah.
I don't want to say it gets easier, but I'm not having to learn on every step of the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
The confidence is there. People like trust you more. And, you just have built that knowledge of trust in the industry. And so compounding it over to other businesses, it's all the same. It's all the same. How many people do we need to talk to come in to order a McFlurry or a chicken sandwich?
Yep.
It's how do I get the people in the door? How do I get them to order the food, to pay the price? So with the oil changes, it's how many cars per day? What's my average ticket count? What's my cost of goods sold? What's our net dollars? What's my labor and what's my net dollars? And it's the same as my real estate brokerage. How many people are we talking to? How many houses are sold? Okay, well, how much are my admin? What are my cost of goods? What are my straight expenses? It's all the same.
Yeah.
And it goes deeper. It's just like the first, when we said, okay, it's the second half of the year, where are we at with our goals? Let's talk numbers.
Yeah.
Well, when people aren't prospecting at a high level and they also aren't counting their numbers, it's an impossible conversation to have.
100%.
And I'd say the best thing to probably do is you need to hire a bookkeeper, accountant, something that's going to ask you for every receipt, every this, every that. Because when you get accountable in this part of your world, it just kind of goes across the rest of your world.
It does. And like how you do anything is how you do everything. And it is so critical. Like you said, you've got to build those things. And I think it's so many people, they get away with the excuse like, I'm just not good at that. Like they treat it like it's a talent when really it's a skill. They go, I'm just not good with numbers. It's like, well, who is, right? Like it's a skill you can go learn over time. And I think you've done the hard stuff and like that's what leads to it feeling easy now because you learned the skill and you did the work to embed that.
I was 7th grade and I remember my mom and dad meeting with my teacher because I couldn't pass the class in math. 9th grade, couldn't pass the class in math. College drop out because I did not want to, never learned how to study, which was probably my real problem. Didn't want to do that sort of a thing. I think that it's just, I'm not good at math as an excuse. I'm not good at it either. You know what I'm good at? I'm good at hiring because I went really I got really good at getting at interviews and finding the right people and building a team. And that's one
Yep.
thing my brother and I would kind of yin and yang it. We're really good at assembling a good team. Like, I'm not going to be the guy sitting there doing the numbers, but I can put together a team. You know what I am good at? Sales. Let's go get some more
Right.
numbers. Let's go.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Dude,
man.
it's pretty cool. Watching your journey over the last 10 years has been really incredible. And man, dude, it is. And it looks nice from far away, right? From far away, it's just like this steady whatever, right? But like you zoom in, it's like it's like up, it's like a billion of those, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I think you're a testament, like putting your head down, getting the vision, get the right people around you, and just be willing to do the hard work, knowing that it'll, if it's like, what was that old quote? If you want it to be easy, it's going to be hard, and if you recognize it's hard, it's going to be easy. And I think that you've leaned into the hard. And
Yeah. The other thing I would say, the best piece of advice is, man, it's like I was in a bold classroom with you, and we literally just got so clear. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And you have to, and I just say the other thing that's successful is every great success story reverse engineers.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that's what they're doing, but they're just starting with the end in mind. And so I'd say start with the end in mind. Where do you want to go, and work backwards? And so probably, I guess the best advice would be to hire Wayne as your coach, and then
Wow.
you'll achieve your goals.
Hey, there you go. That's all I needed. That's it. That's it. Yeah. But it is true. And I think it goes all the way back to the brokerage.
Was that
piece.
2015?
Dude, I think it was. It was at least, yeah, 15, 16, something like that. I mean, it was way back there. But I think like your thing, it goes back to even ties into the EXP thing, where so many people are attached to the how, not the result. Right. And I think like what you and I are clear is like, I'm attached to the result. I'm negotiable on how we get there. Right. And it's like, here's the vision. Like I thought it was going to be this. Oh, wait, I can pivot a little bit. And this, like, I'm negotiable on kind of how we get there. But I'm committed to the end result. I think that's what you're really good. It's like you're committed to the end result, but you can, how you get there is that's where the flexibility comes in. We have a vision for where you're going, which allows you to have that flexibility and not get overly tied to something. And I think people get overly tied to, I have a team, or people get overly tied to, I'm a this, or and that's where it gets messed up. So you gotta, like you said, you gotta be really clear where you're going. And so many people don't have that in mind. They need to, there's a book, like a 12-hour walk. It's like, my kids would say, go touch grass, but like go on a 12-hour walk, figure out what that is. And then, like you said, reverse engineer it, begin with the end in mind. And it's like, we've all heard it, but you got to go do it. And nobody else can do it for you. Like, you can help somebody, I can help somebody, but at the end of the day, like they got to go sit in a corner for a day and figure that piece out.
Yeah. Diana Kokoska said, are you having a second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th, 20th year in the business? Or are you having your first year over and over again?
Yeah.
And the problem we have as real estate agents is that we are just as good as the next transaction.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I repeat to my agents all the time is, do you want to be just as good as the next transaction or not? And what is the end goal? And so we do a lot of that with buying rental property because we're right here in the business. But for us, it was creating other businesses.
Yeah.
But you have to switch your mindset on, I'm only as good as the next transaction unless this happens. Well, unless this happens, and that's where you go to that reverse engineer and then begin at the end of the mind. So
yeah, dude,
yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I'm incredibly proud of you, man. Proud to be your brother, proud of everything you're doing. And man, thanks for everything you're sharing. And I tell you what, it's pretty cool, the ripple effect you're having in a whole lot of different areas.
Thanks, bro. You are crushing it. And I always appreciate you constantly inviting me to things, talking to me, reaching out. Even though it's like, I feel like I'm like, man, I haven't gotten to do that with Wayne. You never stop inviting me. And I think that's the testament to a great salesman and a great follow-up.
Hey, there you go. There you go. It's all about the follow-up. And I just freaking love hanging out with you. So we're both in cool jobs where we get to hang out with people we actually like to hang out with. So works out pretty cool.
Awesome,
Dude,
Wayne. Well,
thank you for this, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. If you need anything, I'm here.
Thanks, dude.
Hey, appreciate you, brother.